Hello everyone, Jared Pixley from Pixley for President here again with a new weekly video. So, as I was trying to decide what to film this week, I saw the news, the attack on Iran, and decided, I haven't really done much on my foreign policy. So, that's what I'm going to talk about today. So, in my book, Pixley for President, I actually have 2 chapters related to foreign policy, plus a section in one of the update chapters. I think it's a very important topic. No man, and by extension, no country, is an island. We're all interconnected. Yes, there are nations that are geographically islands, but that's not the point. We have wars, we have trade, we have tourism, we have international treaties, all sorts of connections. So let's first talk about the news. Trump has announced a new war with Iran. Saturday morning, we bombed them. We killed their supreme leader. We also bombed a school and killed tons of children. I think they said a bunch of girls, 7 to 14, that were in the school. Trump claims that they were just weeks away from developing nuclear weapons that could threaten the United States. However, in June, he had bombed them and claimed that their weapons program was obliterated and it would take them years to rebuild. And if we go even further back, in June of 2015, President Obama and the permanent members of the UN Security Council made an agreement with Iran that prevented them from developing nuclear weapons to begin with. From the little studying that I've done, there is a whole process of enriching uranium that takes multiple steps before they can make it weapons grade. The treaty prevented Iran from building any centrifuges to enrich uranium past a certain point, and it allowed us to go in and do physical inspections whenever we wanted to ensure compliance. The treaty stated that they could not enrich uranium beyond 3.67%, which is what they needed for nuclear power plants. Weapons grade starts at 20%. The US and the European Union installed various sensors and cameras throughout the Iranian nuclear sites to ensure they did not enrich uranium past that point. When Trump was elected to his first term, he removed the US from the Iran nuclear deal and imposed sanctions. In the 3 years between enacting the deal and our exit, Iran had sold off a lot of their enriched uranium and heavy water. They complied with the deal and enjoyed the benefits of trade. The US exiting the deal and then imposing sanctions hurt their economy. In 2019, Iran announced they were no longer following the treaty since we had violated it, and they were now producing 4.5% enriched uranium, as well as building new centrifuges to go even further. Trump tried to make a new deal, but failed. And I don't blame Iran for not wanting to sign a new agreement. Why would they expect Trump to follow a treaty after he had already withdrawn from the existing treaty? In June of 2025, Netanyahu called Trump to let him know that Israel was about to attack Iran. Trump joined the attack and bombed 3 nuclear sites. Trump claimed that the Iranian nuclear program was destroyed. Iranian news networks announced the opposite. And now Trump claims that Iran is days away from having nuclear weapons, and he attacked again without getting Congress's permission. Remember, Congress is the only branch of the U.S. government that has the power to declare war. And this brings us back to the present day. We had a treaty that was working, a treaty that had provisions to ensure and reward compliance. The UN liked it. Iran liked it to a certain degree. And then the US broke it, and now we're at war. Perhaps we should have followed our own treaties. Now, let's look at some other foreign relations before I get into what I would do if elected. I want to give you a better picture of the world and the connections. Now, I hope everyone has followed the news about the US's involvement in the United Nations and NATO. We have been a part of both organizations since the beginning. We helped create the United Nations at the end of World War II. Our ambassador to the UN is a position appointed by the president. Our current ambassador has been called out during sessions of the UN for lying, and no one respects him. The World Health Organization is part of the UN and works to combat disease outbreaks around the world. Trump has ended the U.S.'s support for the WHO. His treatment of NATO is even worse. He has even threatened to attack our NATO allies, specifically the invasion of Greenland, which is owned by Denmark. Several European countries sent troops to Greenland to defend it from an American invasion. Speaking of NATO, part of the charter suggests that every member pay 2% of their gross domestic product. This is not mandatory. Trump has complained multiple times that no one pays as much as the U.S., and he is going to stop supporting NATO. He has also said that these countries owe the U.S. tons of money because they haven't paid their dues. It's true that not all of the NATO members pay their dues. However, some even pay more than the prescribed amount. Based on 2016 numbers, the U.S.'s contributions to NATO amounted to just 22% of their funding. It is behavior like this that is causing the rest of the world to no longer respect us. We need a leader that can treat our allies with respect and work with them for the benefit of all mankind. I did a previous episode on Venezuela and our invasion, so I'm not going to go over all of that again. You can search the videos on my channel and find it. But to summarize, I am against overthrowing other governments. I also talk about that in my book. Every time we have overthrown another government, it's come back to bite us in the end. Some of our worst enemies were people that we put in power. And also, it's a violation of the UN Charter. Now, let's look at our trade agreements. We used to have a treaty called NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. It allowed free trade between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. President Biden negotiated a new agreement, the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement, which was like NAFTA, but also included digital rights and intellectual properties, stuff that the old agreement didn't cover. Trump threw away this agreement and slapped tariffs on all of our trading partners. This sparked trade wars. Canada sells the U.S. electricity along our northern border. And now Canada is threatening to raise the rates for that electricity. Now, in response to the end of the free trade agreement, Canada and Mexico joined the Pacific Partnership, a free trade agreement around the Pacific Ocean, and they left the United States out of it. Now, Canada has been a large importer of Tennessee whiskey. Now, Jim Beam, a major producer, has closed their still for months because they're overstocked on product since Canada stopped buying it. Auto manufacturers have slowed down because of the tariffs on steel and other auto parts coming in. In all, the U.S. economy has slowed down. Small businesses have gone out of business. And the prices of everything have gone up. Just look at the price of coffee. All right, now the part you've been waiting for. My plans. As I said before, I would honor our agreements and our treaties. I would appoint a respectable ambassador to the UN. And if he ever started lying to them, I'd replace him. I want someone that would bring respect and honor to our name. I would lift sanctions on Iran and try to bring them back to the table to negotiate a new Iran deal. We saw it working before. Perhaps we can go back to that. But I'm sure we will have to give them some concessions after what Trump's done. I would support the World Health Organization again. I'd also support the Paris Accords. Trump has pulled us out of that too. And by bringing back USAID, helping the WHO, and supporting the Paris Accords, I hope that the world would see that I recognize the U.S. is part of the rest of the world, and that I want to make Earth a better place for all of us to live. I promise never to threaten to attack our NATO allies. And I promise to follow the UN Charter. As I said, I will not try to overthrow other governments because it never ends well for the U.S. Osama bin Laden, Fidel Castro, Saddam Hussein were all people that the United States put into power. At the start of my presidency, I would take a whirlwind tour of our European allies, like England, France, Germany, Italy, and Ukraine, and reaffirm our treaties with them, renegotiate trade deals, let them know that I've abolished Trump's tariffs, and I'm a fan of free trade. I would also offer my support to Ukraine against Russia. Another of my plans is to invite Canada and Mexico to the White House to renegotiate a free trade deal with them. Either bring back the U.S.-Canada-Mexico agreement, or maybe convince them to let the U.S. join the Pacific Partnership. Either way, I want to encourage trade and economic growth. Trump's idea of promoting Made in America is not a bad idea. I support American businesses, but the way he went about doing it does not work. The tariffs hurt because the U.S. does not supply a lot of the raw materials that we need, and the trade wars cut down the customer base. If we want Made in America as a goal, we need to make items better than our competitors. Who makes the best chocolate? And Hershey's is popular, but Swiss chocolate is so much better. If we had a more educated population, more people with STEM degrees, perhaps they could improve our products or come up with new ones. Then other countries will want to import our stuff. Well, my final thought on foreign affairs is that I recognize the U.S. is part of a larger world. But I do not see us as being the world police. We can work with our allies to make the world a better place. But no one has given us the authority to invade other countries and enforce our will. If our NATO allies are attacked, I will send troops and weapons to help defend their borders. But that is because that's what the treaties say we should do. I would also vote to allow the Ukraine to join NATO. Now, I want to add that the U.S.'s current closed-door policy has caused a decline in tourism. Both Disney and Las Vegas have complained about a decline in visitors. Many Canadians have said that they are going to Europe instead of the United States for vacations. This means fewer people coming into our country to spend money. Domestic policies can have international consequences. There's so much more I could talk about, like how our country's policies have prompted other countries to sell off their bonds for our debt, or how the dollar has lost value in the international trading since Trump took office. But I think this is enough for you to get a picture. If you want international trade to go back to normal, if you want us to be a supporting member of the UN, of NATO, of the WHO, of the Paris Accords, if you want foreign tourists to spend their money here in our country, and if you want other countries to stop making fun of us, then vote Pixley for president. Because that is what I am promising to do, to work towards. Thank you very much for watching this week's video. Remember, like, subscribe, share it with your friends, help get the word out to support the campaign. All of my links are in the description below. You can find my book on Amazon to learn more. You can watch my other videos. I'll appreciate it. comment. I do reply to comments since I have so few subscribers. And have a wonderful day.